The default state of nature is no. The default state of nature is rejection. It's a misconnection. It's a not gonna happen, right? Think of how many tadpoles are born that actually become frogs, right? It's like 100 to fucking 1. How many puppies in a litter would die if humans didn't intervene? How many pollen particles in seeds get spread around that never become plants and flowers and trees, right? The ratio is fucking staggering, right? It's a lot of no. So when you're out there on the street doing cold approach, you should expect it to be a lot of no. But we don't care, because we, with social freedom, are able to play the numbers game a million times more than other guys. Remember, most other men are taking zero action. They're not doing anything. So if they get one rejection, that's their one rejection for 6 months, a year, 3 years, whatever. Like, for them, they could be like, oh my God, I got rejected, my world is over. Yeah, because you have a very small world, right? But if you're constantly approaching, or it doesn't have to be constant, but if you're always approaching any woman that you find interesting or attractive, assuming that it's probably not going to be a perfect connection right off the bat, then when it's not, there's nothing to get hung up over. There's nothing to get slowed down over. There's nothing to waste any mental energy on. Once you're out there and you're feeling warm and you're approaching people, if you're coming from a place of good intentions and presence and you're being direct, then the problem is not your technique. The problem is basically just the luck of the draw that day. That day you weren't lucky enough to meet a green zone woman, right? And green zone are the girls that instantly like you, and those are the only ones that we want to spend any time with. And if we have to spend time with a different type of woman, we want it to be the red zone, the kind that instantly reject you because they save you time. It's the gray zone in the middle that give you a little bit of interest and then a little, and they're ambivalent and they're hot and cold. No, do not waste any of your time with those people, because even when you do, if you do get her into bed, it'll be, or on a date or whatever, it'll be a lot more effort than it should have been, and the results are going to be mediocre at best, right? If there's a woman and it takes you 8 hours to talk her into bed, that sex is not going to be good, guys. It's not going to be, trust me, it's not going to be worth all the time. Matt's cracking up. It's not going to be worth all the time you spent on it. Counter to popular culture, if you meet a woman and you're like, I like you, do you like me? Yeah, you want to go sleep together? And she's like, yes, absolutely. That's your girl. That is a good thing. That means you're compatible. You wanted a thing that she wanted at the same time. That's compatibility. At least sexual compatibility at that time. All this slut-shaming nonsense, and then even worse, if any of you are an actual, I hope none of you are actually a student of like classic game. Maybe Kevin's gotten a little poison in him, I don't know. Yeah, there he is. But the fool's mate, if you sleep with a girl in less than 4 hours, then it doesn't count. Sounds jealous to me. Like, it's
I don't subscribe to that, by the way. Just FYI.
So can I ask, what do you mean with the 8 hours? Like what? Like what are you doing?
You've never been on an 8-hour date? So I mean, I'm not talking about like, hey, let's get together for dinner at 8, and then you have an amazing 4-hour dinner together, and you leave when the bar closes, and then you go back to her place and start making out and have an amazing, awesome, sexy time, and that's what you want, right? That's the ideal situation. You're having so much fun, you're stuck there, and all that other kind of stuff. But what can happen is you go out to a bar or a club, you meet some chick, she's giving you like 80% interest signals, maybe 70 or whatever. Like, she seems like she's talking to you when you're nearby, but as soon as you go away to like take a piss or talk to one of your other friends, it seems like she completely forgets about you, something like that. You could spend the entire night in the club, 4 to 6 hours, just being in her fucking ear. And then, hey, why don't we go for a walk around the block? And then you're walking around the block for 2 hours. We should go back to your place, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I did the thing of like, go to New York City without a place to stay and pick up a girl so you have a bed. that was my night like that, as we just kept walking around her block. And I was like, at this point, I'm just tired. Like, just let me sleep. We did have sex and it was mediocre. But... Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah, don't do that. It's never ideal. I mean, even when it works out and you have a good time and she has a good time and no one's got any complaints, none of those situations where I felt like I had to be a little heavy-handed or a little naggy or a little convincing, none of those relationships lasted. Like none of them panned out. Like, I mean, if I saw those girls at somewhere, they'd probably be like, "Oh, hey, Mike," or whatever. But like, we didn't keep in touch. She didn't really keep in touch with me. I didn't really keep in touch with her. And after all that freaking time investment, and that particular night, that was Direct Dating Summit New York. I could have been hanging out with James Marshall and Alan Roger Curry and Liam and Steve Pavlina and all those guys. But no, I had to go be a pua.